Well, it's another Wednesday, and I'm doing another walk in the woods. But I started this morning, and I've only made it up about roughly 1,600 feet from the cabin. But I've overworked myself and gotten pretty sweaty, and I think it's time to take care of that before I start getting cold. When I left this morning, it was about minus 19, and right now it's gotten a few degrees warmer. It's probably about minus 14, somewhere in there. But my clothes have gotten pretty wet, and I'm getting hungry and dehydrated, so I'm going to drop down into this creek bed here. And I haven't really seen anything exciting today. I've seen some bear prints from that warm spell in January. But other than that, I figured today I would just practice my with my survival pack. And I'll explain that a little bit later. But for now, I'm going to drop down to that creek bed and find some water. The reason that I'd be comfortable here is because I found a creek and it's full of water that has basically been being refreshed all over the granite from all the way up the mountain. The reason I like this spot is I'm shielded by these huge cedars, so I wouldn't get a ton of, if it started snowing hard, I wouldn't get a ton of snow right in camp right away anyway. I have water. There's a slope over there that I could easily tramp SOS in the snow if I needed to. I could lay something red or brightly colored out there to attract attention if that was an emergency situation. The only thing that would not be good lighting a fire under here is that it would melt snow. I'm okay today, but it would melt snow and it would drip down onto my fire and run the risk of putting it out. The other thing is here, I have, if it was a predator situation, I can defend myself because they're more than likely not going to come screaming down there. It's going to be easy to spot them coming there. With all the trees, I can easily set up myself a nice little shelter. But if it was a bear, I can defend myself, I think, a lot easier by going up a tree just even a little bit and using my axe to defend myself. If I'm holding onto the tree in like a crouched on a branch kind of position, I can way easier defend myself with an axe, bringing it down on its head, than trying to fight it on the ground. The other thing is, there's lots of little twigs and branches and stuff. I can easily build a shelter with what's here. The other good thing is, there's a million rabbit tracks in here. So with the view that I had, even if I had a broken leg or something, I can easily sit here in my little shelter and patiently wait for a bunny to go running past, and there's some food. And I'm noticing there's a lot of squirrel seed droppings and all that. So with what's in my bag and what's around me, I think I could last here for probably about a week. So like I said earlier, today hasn't been real exciting for seeing stuff, but I did hike up here. I gotten pretty wet, so I figured I'm just going to practice with my pack. Now, when I was younger and in search and rescue in my way younger days, I was the guy with the 80-pound or 80-liter backpack, just full of everything. People used to say, "Oh, everything but the kitchen sink." Yeah, well, it was a bit ridiculous, but I had everything. Now I'm down to about 15 pounds in a rucksack, and I am comfortable. It doesn't break my back, doesn't wear me down, wear me out, and I'm more than comfortable with what's in my pack. now that I got my fire going nice and toasty here and a little bit of extra firewood, I figured before I start taking apart my pack to get what I need, I would kind of give you a rundown of what I got in here. And so this, I generally leave just a big handkerchief. I generally leave that on the outside of my pack so that if for some reason I don't know, if I need this quick, I can use it as a flag, I can use it as a tourniquet, I can use it as a sling. I don't have to disassemble my whole pack. I usually carry a couple of these, usually one around my neck as well. Keep the cold air from burning my lungs. This is also great as a water filter. You got some real silty water, you can run your water through that. Face cloth, you know, there's just a million uses for those. Keep one or two in your pack. They're super lightweight. Keeps the shade off you. You can also use it for warmth too. We're gonna go through this real quick. I have everything in here, and I weighed it last night, and it was 15 pounds. And that includes all my camera gear. I got extra cameras in here, extra battery packs, little cords and adapters, stuff like that I need for my cameras. It's just another little kit. These are great little plastic things. You get them in, they're used for bulk battery, like AA's and AAA's. But they fit matches. An extra clip in there if you need it. Got little Ziploc bags with toilet paper if I ever need that. Gauze, matches, extra batteries for my headlamp. Oh, that little bunny I was talking about earlier just ran behind me underneath the log. That's good to know. Some more cameras that I get at too real quick. Action cams that I can put on my head. One thing that I like to have with me is a coffee. This is my coffee supplies. A little tiny coffee press. I picked that up for, I think it was like 99 cents or something at the local store. You just put your coffee in there and run that through into your thing. I like a little stainless steel pot. These heat up super fast. They retain the heat so you can put more water in there. Double the storage. I always keep a couple things of ramen noodles handy. Excellent for carbs and stuff like that. So we're actually going to use this kettle. On the outside here, I keep water. I try to put everything in metal. Glass, of course, is gonna, you run the risk of, oh, it's frozen. You run the risk of spilling that. And if you need to heat something up, so while I talk more, I'm gonna heat this up, get it ready for some coffee. These little almond tins are great. I got a little bit of toilet paper in the bottom, tea bags, a few extra matches, and I think I got Band-Aids around on the outside. So I got probably about 20 tea bags in there. Doesn't weigh much. First aid kit, and I'm not going to take this apart because it's tough to get back together. I have triangular bandages, gauze, Band-Aids, antiseptic gel, needle, thread in case I need to stitch myself up. I've done that lots before. Whole unpasteurized honey. Now, there is a weight factor here, but it's got pure, delicious honey in here. You can use as your sugar supply. You can use your knife and chip off flakes of it if you need a sweet kick right away. Also, if it's pure, clean honey, you can use it as an antiseptic. There's something with honey that makes it amazing, and I have put this underneath a gauze on a wound that I couldn't get stitched. And I put some of this under there, and you know what? That stayed so nice and clean. That wound didn't get infected at all. These cans, it's just a tall, it's an actual metal can. And like I said, metal, it weighs, there's weight. There's so many things you can do with it. If something happens to any other your metal containers, you can boil water. You can do everything. You can make a little cache that you can mark with your bandana. If you're trying to give directions, maybe to searchers that are looking for you. The nice thing about these is I can use the inside as storage, and I can use the outside as storage. Now I put a couple of garbage bags. I wrap it in elastic. I just stick little things on the outside, extra lighter. I carry a couple of those. This one is probably the most useful, and I don't take this one apart very much. Wrapped right next to the can, I have a large piece of tin foil, super lightweight. You can use that for cooking. You can use that as a deflector. Use the heavy gauge cooking aluminum. Wrap that, fold it in half, wrap it around, and then I wrap that with wax paper, about 2 or 3 feet. The wax paper is great for if you need to leave a note. I carry a little pencil in there too. You can pencil on it, it doesn't wash off. Of course, the water doesn't affect it, it's wax paper. I wrap that with another garbage bag or plastic bag big enough to go over my body that I can use as a poncho. I got 100 feet of lightweight parachute cord on the outside of that. Lots of elastics, and then I have everything contained underneath a rope with just another small bag. I am a little crazy on elastics. I find that if you need to make some kind of waterproof, say I break my ankle or something like that, and I gash something open and I need a waterproof shell on the outside, a lot of stuff doesn't stick to that, so I use the elastics. I can go around that, keep everything nice and secure. Inside I have matches, a lighter, a little space blanket, an extra knife. There's a whole bunch of goodies in here. Little knife sharpener, whistle, I think a little tiny USB rechargeable flashlight, super lightweight. I mean, really lightweight. I forget what else. This is packed full of goodies. An extra knife, just a little one. Little pot / bowl for cooking in. It's full of bark. An extra pair of gloves. If your fingers go down in this weather, you're in big trouble. An extra battery pack. That weighs a little bit, but I need that for my camera supply, power supply. Inside on the outside, few little pockets. Knife sharpener. These are handy little things made by Smiths. Super lightweight. They do a really good job. They can tuck right flat against the outside of your backpack. I got things like granola bars and more lighters. Got a little shot of Gretzky in there. In the very bottom, found some Arctic fleece at a local fabric store and rolled that real tight, put it in a vacuum bag. The width of my backpack, crammed it right down in the bottom. So if I'm in an emergency situation and just a little bit extra warmth, it does not weigh much. I don't need a great big sleeping bag, just something to keep me from freezing to death in the cold. But if you got the little setup like I got here, with the fire down below, the heat is rising like this, I would curl up right here, build myself a bit of a lean-to in here, the wind is kind of coming like this, so the heat is deflecting naturally into this area where I would sleep, and the smoke drifts over top. I can hang my clothes over top to dry them out. And that's about all the secrets that the inside of this bag carries. On the outside, I got my little coffee flask. And after I'm done coffee, I'll put coffee or tea in here, keep it all nice and warm. And it's not big, doesn't weigh much, but little creature comfort things. Now on the outside of my pack, I generally carry my little tripod that my camera is standing on there, so I can grab it nice and easy. On the other side, I'll show you, I have this axe. This is actually a throwing axe, but the reason I like it, it's got a super strong graphite handle. It's got a good chopping side over here. This side I can also use as a pickaxe or defending myself. This has been a great little, I wouldn't go anywhere without this thing. This stays in my pack all the time. Now, I have this little piece of leather. I carry leather with me. It's got a million uses. Again, you can use it as a splint. If you need to make some kind of stitching or webbing or anything like that, just poke my axe through there, wrap it up, lash it to the outside of my pack with the cords that I have cut into it. Wrap that all up like that. I can get at it fairly easy. Like I said, I can use that as a pickaxe if I need to climb up something icy and steep. This time of year, I also have my snowshoes. Not a traditional. They carry a max weight of 200 pounds, which is perfect for what I weigh and for what I've got in my pack. They're relatively small. I can use them as a shovel, as you've probably seen me doing in the other video. They're easy to get off and on, and these I will also use as my little bench to sit on, so I don't keep my ass out of the wet cold. Throw my leather on there. I got everything around me. These I can also use as a wind deflector to keep the wind off my fire. If I really needed to, when I was up on the mountain, of course it wouldn't work in any other situation, I could technically knock these crampons off. These are great because they have the pivoting crampon. And if I needed to slide myself down the mountain, it would be a lot easier if I cut those crampons off and lay on these and just pull myself like a penguin back down the mountain, if I couldn't use my legs or something. Oh, why not? We'll talk about some of my snacks. In one of these tins, I always carry nuts and dried berries. Everything in here from dates to peanuts to cranberries. Keep a tin of those. Yeah, it weighs a little bit, but there's probably enough food in there if I really rationed it. I could easily keep myself going for a couple of days. With all the other little snacks and everything in here, it'd be tight, but I'd keep myself going for about 4 days. Well, it's been a pretty relaxing day up here by the creek, and I did a little bit of exploring and stuff, and I'll try to pick some up on the camera on the way down. But I did find an area, and I think within probably 200 feet of where I'm set up, there is a bear den. Now it's pretty cold, and I don't think you'd be getting up, but it has quite a trail, and I'm pretty sure by the size of the stride and the paws, they are covered in snow, that it's a grizzly. And I can see where it's kind of where I think is the general area of the den, is getting up and walking to the creek, probably getting a drink of water on warm days, and then walking up to the little ridge here and plunking its butt down in the snow and getting some sun before going back to sleep for a little while. And I think within the next several days, when it starts warming up here, I think that bear is going to be kind of thinking about spring. So I'm going to avoid this immediate area while it's getting up and getting its bowels ready to start hunting and stuff for the spring. There are many game trails, especially on this slope, where the elk and deer move up and down the mountain in the spring to get to the river for water, and also the gas line down there starts greening up pretty early, so the elk kind of concentrate on that natural gas line. So they do come when the trails get worn down a little bit easier. They do come up here to look, to have their little safety outlook down on the trail that they use to get up and down to the green spots in the river. So I think Mr. Grizzly will be hanging around here for a little while. But I've been up and down so many times on this side of the mountain that I do want to start exploring some more areas. And I think I'm going to find a way to get across the river, a nice safe spot. And maybe next Wednesday I'll do that. And if we have enough time, I'll start heading up that watershed a little bit and start exploring that side. And if I get to the top within the next 2 or 3 weeks and it doesn't look really interesting, then I'll start heading up to the north of where I usually climb, and start heading off into the Irishman Creek watershed area, and start exploring up there. And I know there's lots of grizzlies up there. See tons of sign on the Forestry Service roads up there, and lots of wolves. I know there's a couple at least one trap line up there. It's kind of an area that nobody really goes into too much, but now that they pushed the forestry road in there, updated it and stuff, I'm kind of thinking there'd be a lot of people up there my next hunting season. I'd kind of like to explore it before there's too many people going back in there. So whichever direction I decide to go, we'll definitely keep you updated on Wednesday Walk in the Woods. Not the easiest thing, side hilling in snowshoes. Better to go kind of up and then down and then up and then down and then kind of zigzag your way to the bottom. But we'll get there. If the snow was a little bit deeper, would be good, but can't really see the perspective with a stupid phone, but it's pretty steep. It's starting to get pretty dark. And I still got a ways to go. Way over there to get back home. It's so beautiful and quiet when it's getting into the evening, but I'm expecting to see some coyotes as I head down. Of course, it's too dark to do anything about it, but wouldn't be surprised if I seen some coyotes down in these old logging flats down here. I don't think the camera's gonna pick anything up, but I think I left my little creekside camp a little bit too late. And from where I think I am, I have about an hour to go downhill. Should be fun. Your eyes do adjust to starlight, but it's pretty hard to get perspective when you're going downhill and trying to jump over logs and rocks and everything else. So far the snowshoes are doing a pretty good job of keeping me reasonably balanced. But camera's almost dead, so I will charge it back up down at the cabin once I get down there and get editing this video.